Good afternoon, everybody. How's everyone doing this afternoon? It's very dreary and rainy here in Orlando, which is no fun. But thank you for joining today. We are going to be talking with Jessica and Nadine. They are a wedding planning team, and I will let them introduce themselves in just 1 second. We're going to bring them in. Anyone hear the train go by? All right, so they should be here in just a second. All right. Hi, ladies. How are you?
Good. Are you talking to me? Good. How are you?
I'm good. Why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves and share a little bit about your business, including how to pronounce it, because I was pretty sure I was going to screw it up.
No, it's okay. It's a Franglish title, so that's why. But no, I'm Jessica. And so Les Petit Details is how you say it, because I'm French and Nadine's American. So
yep, I'm Nadine.
That's Nadine. Sorry. So we figured to call it a Franglish name since we're, from two different countries. Mm-hmm. And we obviously, in the long run, would love to travel the world and plan weddings. So just to kind of show that, I've obviously traveled. I've been in different countries, and Nadine has too. So we can definitely be open to travel.
Okay, so I'm totally derailing us before we even started. If you had to pick one country to plan a wedding in, what country would it be?
That's a good question.
I think, that's a good question. I would say France, because a lot of weddings can be done in castles.
That's exactly what I was going to say. So that's perfect.
And castle wedding is amazing. So definitely France, but also Italy actually is beautiful. I've seen some weddings in Italy, and it's awesome. Obviously the food's amazing, but just the landscape, everything. So I'm between those two countries.
Nadine, do you have anything different?
No, I literally was going to say France because of the castles. When I visited France a while ago, that was my favorite aspect. So that would be one of my goals, I would say, is to do a wedding in a castle.
Yeah.
It's a dream come true.
One of our quarantine activities has been learning all about chateaus in France, and there's like a whole segment of YouTube dedicated to people who have taken on restoring chateaus.
Yeah.
Like a whole agreement with the French government that you need to restore it so that it can be enjoyed by people. And the two YouTubers we watch the most, they're like covering their renovation efforts and everything. They both host weddings at their chateaus, and
awesome.
It's gorgeous.
It's a dream. One day maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Great. Well, thank you so much again, ladies, for joining us. I thought we would start out with a pretty simple question. Why do you think it's important for people to hire a wedding planner?
Yeah. Great question.
Yeah. So, so we all know that the wedding day is pretty nerve-wracking. It's a lot of moving pieces, and you need someone to be there for that. And that's actually the number one question brides ask. It's like, we're unsure we're going to hire a wedding planner. We're still not sure. And then we tell them, well, you want to have a stress-free day, and you want to make sure that someone else is taking care of everything for you. And, just making sure that you don't have to worry about anything because you have a professional wedding planner taking care of all that for you. Your family can enjoy themselves, and so also a lot of times brides just don't know much about weddings because they never got married. So they don't know what to do. And that's where they kind of need professional advice on everything, the little details of a wedding. And that's where we can come into place.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm always pro wedding planner because if there isn't a wedding planner, hi. I'm the one keeping on schedule for the day, because honestly, the photographers and videographers are the ones who are with the couple every single minute of the day.
Right.
And so if there isn't a planner or even a coordinator, then just by default, we're the one moving things along,
Right.
if nothing else, because like we need to make sure we have time to capture the next component. So
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just helps, like, you know, it helps keep everything going in a timely manner, and it lets everyone do their job instead of, you know, you having to focus on keeping everyone else going and things like that. So,
mm-hmm.
And vendors love wedding planners because they know that we're on top of it. So I'm sure a photographer, you know, that they, you know, they know that everything is basically organized and well put.
Mm-hmm. So I know sometimes folks will hire a wedding planner to actually help with the process, but then there's also sometimes where there's a day of coordinator, and that's not always the same thing. So how do you help couples decide like what level of service they need for their wedding day?
yeah, absolutely. So, wedding planners typically are with you, you know, from the very beginning. They're with you from a lot longer. They help you plan from the very get-go. Sometimes even to the point where we're going to menu tastings with them and going to other vendor appointments with them, you know, really getting to know every single detail of their wedding from the get-go. Whereas like a day of coordinator, they're typically there for a lot shorter of a period of time. Like they're not planning with the couple months and months in advance. They're just kind of there for the day of and to make sure everything goes accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
So the nice part is like, you know, we have 3 packages, you know, with our company. We have a day of package, we have a partial package, and a full service package. So depending on what the couple is looking for, you know, if they're only, you know, if they're doing mostly DIY and they just basically want someone there the day of to help them get things through the day, you know, that would be a day of package. It would be perfect fit for them. Whereas some brides, you know, they want us with them every step of the way, at every meeting, every detail, helping them pick out all of their vendors and everything. So that would be more of like a partial or a full service, depending on what they're looking for.
Cool.
Yeah.
So in any of those packages, what are some of the things that your couples struggle with the most during the planning process, and how do you help them with it?
The timeline is number one, just because they don't know, again, the details of the wedding. They don't know, oh gosh, I forgot I have to do a father-daughter dance, or I forgot that, you know, during cocktail hour, I actually would like to have some private moment with my husband at that point. You know, so they didn't forget all the things that could happen at a wedding. So the timeline is the number one where they're like, I don't know what time to do any of this.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where the number one thing that we take care of is to create a timeline for them based on also on what other vendors have in their timeline. And we just kind of put that all together and match it to make it a very smooth day. So we've seen a lot of that, the timeline where they get stressed out about that. The other thing is really the beginning. They just don't know how to start, where to start, who do I hire? You know, what do I need? You know, do I really need a photographer and a videographer? So that's also the beginning. It's like, I'm lost. I don't know what to do. Help me. So we obviously want to, you know, give them the best recommendation as far as vendors, the best advice that we can give them to, you know, for the planning process to be smooth and not stressful, but also for the wedding day.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So since you mentioned that, what order do you recommend that they approach hiring vendors?
The venue, I think, is the number one most important, because they need to have your day available. And if they don't, then all of your other vendors, it's going to clash, you know. So as long as you know your venue's available, then your vendors can come right after to make sure that this day is available. Because, I mean, a venue, if you know that's the one, you don't, you know, you want that venue, you want the day to be available. As far as a photographer, you know, hair, makeup, everybody else, I'm sure you can figure it out, you know, to hire someone. But the venue is the number one, just because space, you know, your guest count has to fit, you know, and then the theme that you want to have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I run into that a lot with clients when you mentioned the timeline, just not having an understanding of how long things can take.
Right.
You know, I've seen some where it's like a more intimate package, or it's just a less formal situation and the bride is coming in to get ready, 30 minutes before the ceremony. That's when they're going to put the dress on. And it's like, that's going to take a lot longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a like crochet style back to your dress.
Yep.
That's 30 minutes right there. You will be walking down the aisle while someone's still tying you up.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, it's small little things like bustling your dress. Like if you want the maid of honor to be the one doing it, yes, hopefully, they went to your last alteration and they saw how it was done, but you forget, and then you're having such a good time at the wedding, and you're like, oh, I don't remember how to do it. So that takes time. Just that it takes some time before they do their introduction. So it's really, the day goes pretty quickly, unfortunately, and you just have to time it out really well so that everything can fit before the end of their night, because they contracted for a certain amount of hours at the venue, and we want them to enjoy everything of it without it being like, oh, we're done already and we have to go, and didn't dance as much as they wanted to or something like that.
Right. And that's why, like, even circling back, like, I think it's so great to have a planner for that reason, is because, with us making the timeline, we make it down to the minute. So with something, we allot maybe 5 minutes or 3 minutes, depending on what the activity is. It really allows things to go smoothly and smoothly without, hiccups and without stressing the bride out, because they want to have the least amount of stress that day as possible. Like, that's what we're there for, is to make their day super easy, so that they don't have to be like, oh, I forgot that we had to do that at this time. Like, I think it's really important.
And I think too, like, inevitably things might go off track, right? Like,
right.
Things
Absolutely.
might go over. There might be a flat tire, something might happen. But without having a planner who knows all of the different components, it's so hard for the other vendors to advise on how to adjust the timeline from there.
Absolutely.
Because we don't know that there's, confetti poppers at 7 p.m. So we can't extend until 7:15, or we don't know that, there's special food items being catered that need to be served a certain time, You need that one person who has the full picture to make those decisions, because otherwise it inevitably leads to more problems during the
Right. Yep. Yeah. Absolutely.
And then things happen. I mean, it's awesome if it goes perfectly well, how we're hoping, but sometimes little things happen,
and we're always prepared.
Yeah, so. And we have to just kind of, if we're running a little late, we just have to figure it out. So it's the timeline is just really important. Yeah. Sometimes it's just on the fly adjustments, but we're prepared for that, because things do happen, and we're always ready for it.
Yeah, and you have like a little jigsaw puzzle in your brain of how like, how they could also fit together.
Yeah.
If, we needed to make adjustments.
Exactly.
So if you had to give 3 quick tips to couples who are planning their weddings right now, what would those 3 tips be?
Good one. The first one, just going back to hire that professional, like, vendor, no matter what type of vendor it is. Like, a lot of people tend to want to have a friend or a family member be a planner, or, oh, I'm just going to have my friend snap some photos, it's going to be okay. Like, I strongly recommend hiring those professional planners, because they know what they're doing. They know how to stay on track. They have that experience and knowledge of how to make everything be even more perfect for that couple.
I'm sure you're like, yes, I agree.
Yes.
I don't want mom or dad to be the photographer.
Yeah, or like, the uncle to be the DJ.
Yes. Right, absolutely.
Or even like, oh, my friend is a DJ at a club. Well, that doesn't mean I know how to DJ a wedding, because you need to have an MC who can direct the flow of things, who knows when to get people up on the dance floor and what will work.
Yeah, exactly.
Need those seasoned veterans to polish off that day, because otherwise, oh man, I know I think photography is very important, but in
Yes.
a party, like if you don't have a good DJ or MC,
Right.
whew,
Yeah.
makes it
A
tough.
lot can happen. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we get it. And it's also, you know, for us at least, it's so much easier if we know we're working with professionals. We don't have to babysit. You know, we can actually focus on our job. But it's happened before where, you know, because budget, you know, oh, well, my cousin's going to do it. You know, he's not charging me. And that's great. You're saving money. That's awesome. But in the long run, it's just not the best way, because on top of that, you might be really stressed during the day or the day before. And then you're kind of taking on that cousin of yours. Relationship after that is not so great. So, so that's our number one tip is just to hire a professional. For me, and that's actually a personal experience. So the week of my wedding was actually very stressful because I wanted to do everything. My family from France was arriving, and I was going to bed late every night, and I wanted to just do everything, take over, control everything, because that's how I am. And the morning of my wedding, I lost my voice. I was so exhausted and stressed that I lost my voice the morning of my wedding.
Oh, no.
So instead of drinking mimosas, I drank tea, you know, with my bridesmaids. So my number one advice is to you've done everything you could as far as, you know, your planning of your wedding with your planner. The week of the wedding, or even a few days, just relax, have fun, enjoy your family who's in town. You know, you've done everything you could. At this point now, your wedding is coming, and you just need to have the best time of your life. That way, the morning of the wedding, you feel good. So, and
have your voice. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's my personal tip. It's just don't stress. And it's hard to say that because you want everything to be perfect. There's so much going on. Your family's asking a bunch of questions, you know, and it's like, you know, read my invitation. Everything's on there. Because even guests will ask you like, hey, I don't know where the wedding is. What's the address? And it's like, are you serious? Like, you know, but it happens. It does. And, you know, for me, I want to help everyone. I want to answer every single text that I was receiving that day. And so that happens.
Try to like designate tasks to other people, like your maid of honor, depending on what the activity is, or your planner, just trying to keep as much stress off of you the week of as much as possible anyway.
Yeah. And then, you know, like I said, the day of the wedding is just to have a good time is my tip, because it does go fast. You've been planning this wedding for sometime a year, sometime a few months. And then the wedding day, it's like, boom, done. After you've planned it for so many months. So my tip is just, you know, take it all in. Like, that's why, like, I always try to tell our couples, to just enjoy each other, to maybe have during cocktail or once they're done with photos, maybe have a alone time, because again, every guest and every family wants to be with you, take pictures, and then you don't really have that alone time. So we always try to tell our, you know, couple, try to maybe have in a separate room, just have the two of you together, and then just take it all in, you know, just take a break, look around you, all your family and friends having fun, because it just goes by quick.
Yeah, it goes by so quick.
Yeah. I think that tends to be, for me, like one of the things I love the most about when couples do a first look. Like, I love that they do the first look and they get that private time together. And when I do that, I like to allocate more than just a few minutes for the first look itself, that we can do some of the newlywed portraits then, because then you're in it together. And everyone's nerves kind of relax, and you can enjoy things more. But depending on the venue and order of things, if that means you can do all of your family and wedding party photos beforehand, then you've gotten your alone time together, you've gotten your important portraits completed before the ceremony, and then that means you do have that cocktail hour to mix and mingle with guests and spend more time with them. And I feel like I'm hearing more and more, like, when I talk with couples about what they want photo wise out of their day, like, it's really important to them to have as much time with their guests as possible. And as long as they're okay with that first look, and, you know, not having the traditional first look coming down the aisle, then, you know, that means we can move everything up and you can have the best of both worlds. So
Right.
and
Exactly.
I have seen too, sometimes couples will save like something special, like a bride might not wear her veil for the first look, but she'll wear it coming down the aisle. So there's still like something for their partner to be excited about, seeing them for the
absolutely.
first time.
Yeah.
So there's definitely ways to still have, kind of have it all.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's a hard question that couples do ask us, like, do I want to do a first look, or do I want to walk down for the ceremony? That's up to you. I mean, we have pros and cons, obviously, but it's up to you. Do you want to have, he sees you for the first time walking down the aisle, and it's, that kind of traditional moment, or do you want to just do your photos, be done with it, and then and then enjoy cocktail or however you want to do it. So we steer them however they would like to. We don't tell them, no, first look sucks, don't do that.
Right.
No, that's up to them because it's their day. I walked down the aisle, but that's because I wanted the traditional way. I wanted to see my husband cry. But again, he might be tearing, I don't know, for the first look. But everyone's different. So
I think it's just more of, does the couple want that intimate moment where he is able to see her before, or do you want it to just be, nope, I want it the traditional way, just see me walking down the aisle, and if you cry, it's going to be in front of everyone. So.
I know.
But it's the cutest moment ever.
It is. Yeah, and I've had some couples decide on a first look just for that, because they're both very shy and would prefer to, like, they know it's going to be emotional and they'd rather it not be in front of everybody, because then they feel like they can actually enjoy it rather than like being self-conscious in front of everyone. So yeah, it's definitely, I'm sure you guys do a lot to get to know your couples, because how else can you hear them?
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, it's first consultations that we do. We get to know them, get to know their love life. Like, how did you meet? How did he propose? We want to have that relationship with our couples. It's important, because we want to be friends with them in the long run, So yeah, we kind of get to see, okay, I did a shy type of couple, as a bride, gonna be really nervous walking down the aisle because everyone's looking at her. So it's important to have that relationship.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, I have one last question for you guys, which is a surprise question that I just thought of today. And is purely out of my own curiosity.
Okay.
Have you guys noticed any like upcoming trends in weddings, being planned for 2021? New types of ceremonies, certain color palettes, certain floral trends, like anything you've seen that is kind of up and coming that couples who are planning now might want to consider that they might not see, tons and tons of Pinterest boards about?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the first that I can think of is obviously with this crazy pandemic that we're going through that, is so unprecedented. Like, people have to account for that and they have to plan for that. Some venues, they have strict limitations now on, how many people can be at a table. So they have to just take that into account when they're creating their diagram. And then also for ceremony, because especially for ceremony, everyone's sitting so close to each other. So they have to just think about, spacing that out a little bit more. Do you want to have some people sitting and some people standing? Like, how does that work? So I think that's one of the biggest things going into, the remainder of 2020 and into 2021 that people have to think about, just with unfortunately becoming the new normal, even though we don't want to see it that way. But
I'm seeing, and again, I think it's just because COVID-19, guest count is a lot lower. So then that helps as far as budget. So then they can actually purchase a lot more as far as decor and things like that. But if they can't, again, because maybe they have lost some money just because of rescheduling wasn't working out. Again, different things can happen now with that. But as far as decor, I'm seeing a lot of the garland is still kind of staying actually with weddings. We just had a phone call with the bride yesterday that she wanted to do just garland. I was like, okay. I mean, hey, that works. Actually, we just had a conversation today with a bride that wanted garlands because she had a rustic type of wedding, and she was budget conscious because she ended up having to, cancel a few things or reschedule, and then she lost some money out of it because COVID-19. So the garland has actually been pretty much a big thing, but I love garlands. I think it's great. Oh, yeah. It's simple, but it's nice. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So I've seen that. But right now it's just, it's a little hard. As for 2021, I think couples are a little scared to see what's going to happen in the future, and they're like, maybe we should just elope, and that's that. It is what it is. But we try to reassure them, that obviously if you do want to have that dream wedding, you can still do it. It's obviously, just be careful. Who knows in 2021 what are going to be the new rules of weddings, because now
everything is so constantly changing. It's just kind of keeping up with where we're at in society and just going with what we can do.
Yeah, it's hard. And it's definitely, we had a conversation with a bride because we're going to Vegas in August for a wedding, and she's like, what do I do? What do I need to change now? And it's completely like ceremony. We have to give her advice on the distance between the chairs, and maybe having some guests wanting to just stand up in the back, which is not ideal, but some people may not feel comfortable in being sitting next to someone. So, programs, maybe just have them on the table and don't hand them out because you're touching it. Same with the layout of the reception, distancing tables, having rounds of 8 instead of 10 now, and just keeping the family table together because obviously they know each other, and then, friends figuring that out, because it's not based on friendship, it's based on who lives with who and can be comfortable sitting with that person because of COVID-19. So we had to make a few changes with her wedding, and she was super happy that we, had advice for her, because brides are just kind of getting nervous now. They don't know what to do. So
we just take it step by step and just help them through each step of it.
Yeah, that's really great that you guys are keeping up with all of those changes so that you can make those advisements for everyone.
Yeah. Right.
I'm sure.
At the end of the day, you're marrying your best friend, so that's what
counts. Yeah. Great. Well, thank you so much, ladies. Is there any last things you'd like to share with everybody before we sign off for today?
Not that I can think of.
Not that I can think of. Just thank you so much.
Yeah. This was great, and we're super excited to talk to you, Dawn.
Yes, it was so nice seeing you guys again, too. I can't even remember our last wedding together. It was probably like a year ago now.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, it was. I did an Indian wedding with you. I remember that.
Yes.
Awesome.
Oh, you did that? And then we also had the one at Mission Inn Marina that got rained out, and we had to cram everybody inside at the last minute.
Yep.
Yeah. So we've done a couple weddings together. Hope we can work again, do some more.
Hopefully really soon.
Yes, definitely. All right, ladies. Well, thank you so much. Have a great evening, and thank you everybody for watching. We'll be back next week with a few more interviews, so just keep an eye on my IG stories for who is coming up and when. And I hope you all have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.